layers in InDesign. So we are able to arrange our objects in a hierarchical order, and that order, being called the stacking order, is basically how things are either in front of or behind objects. So in InDesign, if I look at my layers panel, you see that I have, in this case, 3 separate layers. So the closest analogy with InDesign layers would be Illustrator. So I have layers, and ultimately I really only need one layer for each entire document, even if that's a 1,000-page book. Now within each layer I have a level. This is comparable to Illustrator having a sub-layer. So these levels indicate my stacking order and how things are either in front of or behind. Now in InDesign I can create as many layers as I need. There are no limits there. And every object is on its own level. So we can choose to rearrange the stacking order by using our arrange commands. So to find those, we go under the object menu, arrange, and here we see we can bring to front, bring forward, send backward, or send to back. So the bring to front would move this object that I have selected, which happens to be my yellow circle, it would move it all the way to the front of the stacking order. If I have that same object selected and do arrange, this time send it to the back, sending it to the back sends it all the way to the very back of the stacking order. And then bring forward and bring backward, the other 2 commands that we see there, will bring it up 1 level or 1 step. I could easily navigate to my arrange commands by right-clicking. When I right-click, I see arrange and the exact 4 same options. Yet an easier way to do this would be just to click my level in my layers panel and drag it. And by dragging it, I'm rearranging that stacking order, thus changing the order that you see what's in front versus what's in back. So understanding layers in InDesign, a little bit different than some of the other Adobe products, but yet there's a lot of similarities. So we have our eye icon here, and we have it both for our levels and for our layers. That basically indicates the visibility. So when the eyeball is visible here, I'm able to see my objects. When it is not visible, those objects are hiding, and I can just click to toggle on or off. I also have a lock icon that I can lock things right next to my page. So this area is very similar to what we see in Illustrator, where we can lock our items or we can allow them to be manipulated and edited. When I do lock it, can you see there's an icon here indicating that this specific object here is locked. I can duplicate layers, and again, I can just, a couple of methods, more of the longer method would be to have my layer selected here, my object selected, and then use my menu of my layer panel and choose duplicate to duplicate that page. And you see I have new layer and delete and all of those others, hide and lock here as well. So I can choose to do that. I also can choose just to click this level here within my layer and drag it over top of the new icon. Even though that's a new layer icon, when I drag a level over it, it will still make a copy. So by dragging this over top, what I ended up with is 2 of my blue circles. Control Z to undo that. Manipulating my layers, one more thing on just organization. So I do have a selected icon over here. Click to select my options. Now this one is locked, so when I'm clicking here, it's not selecting it. If I unlock and now click my little box, I'm able to select items. The other great thing with this is I can see what is selected. So by selecting these different shapes here, you can see how this little box is moving around. Now in this case, everything is green. You may wonder why on these other layers I see red or I see blue. That basically is my selection color, which I find in my layer options. So if I use my menu here and go to my options and look at my options for this specific layer. So that's how it's listed for the layer that's active. I'm able to choose my color for my selection. And it's a good idea to have a color that is really in contrast to what is on this layer so you're able to see it clearly. If I control click, I'm able to select through the stacking order. So if you watch here and watch my little icon, if I control click right now, I'm able to go through to what's behind it. So here I click on my yellow circle, and if I'm clicking the overlapping section here, I click to my blue circle, and if I click once again, I'm to my black rectangle. So control clicking allows me to click or select through the stack.